Hello everyone, it's Jack Cotton, luxury real estate expert, author, and agent. And I know you're going to think of being obsessive and repetitive when I keep talking about numbers, but you know what? Numbers drive our business. And that's an important word to use too, business, because what we don't want to have is a luxury real estate practice. We actually want to have a luxury real estate business. A business means that it's duplicatable and predictable. A practice, just too passive. Anyway, we've been talking about all these numbers we need to track from our MLS, like days on market, our list to sales price ratio, our ratio of pendings to new listings, and more importantly, how many listings do you have to take to get to one sale? And I'm so envious of all the agents across the country who are in markets where they list a house at 10 and they have 7 offers by 3. That's not my market, and it's not the market in lots of the country. So we're always trying to get our ratio down, approaching that 1-to-1, but right now in my market for the whole MLS, it's around 3 new listings for every pending. That means you're doing a lot of work on 3 listings to get to one sale. My goal for you, and of course for me, is to improve that number. And the best way to improve that number is, of course, to improve our listing presentation. That is the key to improving all of this. Here's what we want to do. We want to completely improve our listing presentation. We need to have it relevant. What's in our listing presentation has to be relevant to the seller, not stuff that we impress ourselves and each other with. The seller has to relate to what's in the presentation. It has to bring value to the proposition of getting their house sold for the highest price possible. They have to relate to that. It cannot be abstract. It's going to be personal. That's where I talk about often the power of story, using stories to connect with your high net worth clients, your high net worth sellers. And I'll talk about that more as we progress. But we want to use stories for our entire presentation, and then we want to have stories for each one of our USPs, each one of our unique selling points that we mention in our listing presentation, and I'll cover that again in a future video also. So basically, the story I like to begin every listing presentation with is a buyer story, because without a buyer story, your listing presentation is pretty much abstract. Now, once in a while, maybe 1 out of 100 times, maybe, a seller will, when I'm sitting down with them, will say, well, Jack, who's going to buy my house? And how do you answer that question? Well, I don't wait for the 1 out of 100 anymore. I bring up the question for the other 99 out of 100 sellers, would you like to know who's going to buy your house? And that's a stunning statement that most sellers yeah, they'd like to know who's going to buy their house. Tell me. So you need a buyer profile story. Who is the likely buyer for your market? You need to tailor your buyer story to your market. Pretty much, you know, in my market, which is a second home and resort market, the buyer profile story that I've developed over the years will be relevant in about 85% of the cases. But you want to tailor your buyer profile story to the market, and you want to tailor it to each one of your listings. So, and then you want to make the buyer profile story real. So here's an example of what I say. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's probably an 85% chance that the buyer for your home is going to be in their late 50s, early 60s. They're going to live somewhere inside the 495 belt as it wraps around Boston. There'll be professional people or business owners or corporate people who have worked real hard to get to the point where they can afford a property like yours. In the course of all that hard work, they have missed some things. They've missed some family dinners. They've missed some family events. They've missed some games that their kids are playing in. They've missed some recitals, plays, other events. Your property is going to be the magnet that they use to pull their family back together again. They're going to make amends and reconnect and rebond and, you know, and just re-nourish their family relationships in and around your house and your property. The goal here, my friends, is to tell the story in such a way that is so compelling, so believable, so rich with emotion, and so believable that you'll actually bring tears to the seller's eyes. That's what you want, because they're going to cry when you talk about price. Why not get the tears all out now when you talk about the buyer profile story? So think about who is the typical buyer for properties in your marketplace and create a buyer profile story and start using that in your listing presentation, because if you just launch into what you're going to do to market the property, it's not relevant. They can't buy into it. It doesn't mean anything. It's abstract. Begin with a buyer profile story, and then you can make your listing presentation even better. I'm going to cover that in our next video. In the meantime, don't forget the first Tuesday of every month, luxuryrealestateunplugged.com. Go there, log in, sign up, ask your questions, and learn the best deal on luxury real estate group coaching in the world. Anyway, until next time, make it a great week.